And I'd like the listeners around the world to be welcome too, so why don't we all stand up and welcome our worldwide listeners at this particular moment. Let's give them a giant hand out in the world. This is going to be an exciting 3 days and the first ever of truth-telling here in North America. We have come to a point in human history where globally corporate interest has hijacked the lives of basic and normal citizens. And governments are now fully and completely controlled by corporate interest, and the citizens of each and every country that you're from worldwide no longer has you in mind first, but has the interest of profiteering. So we thought we had to mount a secure, scientifically valid, and well-seasoned and experienced offense against this, but in a loving way. When Stephen came to me a number of years ago and suggested that we put together a website to tell the truth, I thought that was a phenomenally good idea, but I wasn't quite sure that we had the wherewithal at that moment to do it. But he was consistently persistent and consistent in his request. And so several years ago, as many of you know, we launched The Real Truth About Health and got it up and running in the last year or so on the web. Now, how many of you listen to us on that and get information from that web? Good. Because we want not only you listening here in the room in New York City and Times Square, but we want the worldwide audience to now start to access the real truth about health as their source of information. Because there's so much skewed information, even in the field of natural health care. It seems like vested interest overtakes truth. What can we sell? What is the latest, greatest thing? What's the trend? What now is the hottest thing? And I've seen this in the 42 years I've done the work. What is hot doesn't matter. The survival of humanity matters. And it can happen, and as you'll hear, very simple and very clear remedies this weekend. This is not just about exposing the problems. Why I'm so excited about it, as we've done at Hippocrates for nearly 60 years, it's about giving the remedy. You're going to have experts, what I consider courageous experts in each and every one of their fields, coming here and authentically telling you the concern. But at the same point, Anne Wigmore, back in 1952, when she was told she was going to die of cancer, had the courage to say, although that's the predisposition of a doctor's limitation, it doesn't mean I have to die. And opened the doors of Hippocrates in the middle of the 1950s. And the remedy began. And we have now had hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people come through the program and attend our programs worldwide. This year I'll be traveling 200 days to about 30 countries in the world, because this is a relentless message that needs to get out, because the opposition has your mind 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and people don't even know that they are being manipulated and controlled at this moment. Even the things that you consider to be healthy are really to be scrutinized. One of the most important programs we give at Hippocrates, many of the alumni are here, is not me yelling at you about eating raw food. It's about me getting you into a bus and taking you to an excellent health store. I mean a class act health store. And showing people that 85% of what's in a normal health store, a good health store, is not healthy for you today. So we like compromise. We like moderation. Oh, it's too difficult. It's too extreme. You know what's extreme? As my colleague Dr. Esselstyn said it so well, is to cut a person's chest open and to literally take a vein out of their leg and to replace it near their heart and suggest that that is health care. That's extreme. It's not extreme to tell people to take their life back, to be responsible. That's what this nation was created on, and most nations around the world, courageous people. People who knew that fairness and equality and freedom were what really mattered. And there's no more important freedom, I can assure you, on the planet Earth than health freedom. I've had the great honor and privilege my whole life to work with people who are facing death. And that's where I learned truth-telling. Nobody exaggerates or embellishes or tells stories close to death. They talk from their heart, as they should have, as you should have, as I should have from the time we were born. But that's not encouraged. And what they say time and time again, every single time, to be honest with you, is, my life could have been different if my priorities were different. If I wasn't chasing the elusive security that was absolutely not secure. How many of you understand out there in the world what I've just said? Chasing the elusive security that isn't secure. Because when you reach that elusive security, does it fulfill you? Does it reward you? Does it heal you? Does it encourage you? Does it give you elation? And if you're not elated with what you do, why are you doing it? And this is how you are easy targets of manipulation. Unhappy people, sad people, confused people are easy, just like turning a page, to change their mind within a split second. The latest, greatest, the best, the biggest. What does all of that mean? At the end of the day, when you and I are sitting there, and I'll sit there someday taking my last breath, let's hope each and every one of us authentically from our heart can say that we've lived a life of fulfillment, of honor, of integrity, and did our best to do good. And to do our best, we must do good first to who? Ourselves. It's not do good to others first. You notice when you're flying on a plane, I just flew on a plane here last night, they always give you the shtick, as I call it. They tell you what's going to happen when the plane crashes, like that matters. Not too many people survive that, but anyway, they tell you. And if you notice, the most important thing they teach you on the plane, they said, when the air comes down, the mask comes down, put yours on first before you even put it on to other people. Because if you don't put yours on first, you're going to die. So you can't help those loved ones and the people around you. Recognize that that's the simple truth, the simple reality that prevails in the human heart, the human spirit, and in all great spiritual teaching throughout human history. That it's about personal evolution and projection and consciousness. It's not about something elusive. And that consciousness of self and acceptance of self gives you the ability to eat properly and to be kind and to be compassionate and to be loving and to really thrive for freedom. People who are happy need freedom. And if you don't feel freedom, you don't have enough happiness. So let's hope in this 3 days, we're going to get you to the place where we give you the Bible tools to be happy. You have some incredibly interesting people here. Let's talk a little bit detail. This is a friend of mine that was just up there, Sherry Sario. Sherry has been doing this work for as long as I have. She looks like she's 23. Is Sherry in the room here? Sherry's not in the room, but Dan's here. No, there's Sherry. Please stand up. Let's give her a hand. Sherry was blessed decades ago to meet the founder of Hippocrates, Ann Wigmore, and as all of us were touched by her. She was a very different kind of a person, let me say that. She wasn't what you would expect her to be. And her legacy is extraordinary, as you're going to learn this weekend. And when she was a vegan chef, and well-known and well-respected vegan chef, she was willing, after decades of being a vegan respected chef, to listen to Ann and say, gee, there's something one step more, something that resonates in my heart. And she became not only the premier living food chef on the planet Earth, but she created by far the finest and most qualified school for living food chefs in the world, and have graduated hundreds of people that bring this message. And Ann is looking down and shining on her now. And her partner and good friend, Dan. Let's have Dan and Sherry stand up and honor them again. The work they do is not matched. Us yelling and screaming to you about lifestyle is one thing, but being able to go to a restaurant and eat that food and make that food viable, accessible, that's more important than everything else, isn't it? Let's look at this guy, Jeffrey Smith. I had the great privilege, Jeffrey came to the Institute about a decade ago to meet him. He was pretty much right on at that point. And as you know, Jeffrey has become the #1 advocate against genetic modification on the planet Earth. He wasn't a scientist because the scientists were all in the pockets of the bad guys that came out and said it. He was an interested party, a citizen that recognized the future of humanity was in question if we manipulate genetically our foods. And this has become so pervasive. I just read a report yesterday that we will, through our lobbyists in Washington, get into congressmen and senators' hands, that now we have really solid science on how genetic modification kills. Dr. Deal, a physician who realized, all of these patients are coming and they're all sick and they have heart disease and they have cancer and they have all these other things. There has to be an answer beyond just medicine, and had the courage to go against his colleagues. Dr. Deal, stand up so we can honor you. When he was standing there last year, because he's only 28 years old, receiving his medical degree, he took an oath. Does anyone know what that oath is that every doctor everywhere on the planet Earth takes? Do no harm. He took that serious. Do no harm. And it takes a lot of courage to do the truthful thing, the right thing, the honest thing. And I'm proud that he's here with us this weekend. This schmo, forget it. Dr. Oppenlander. The first time that we were all awakened was by my friend John Robbins, Baskin-Robbins' heir, back in the early 90s with Diet for New America. And I was stunned. I thought I knew a lot about, the effect on the environment and animals and all of this. Well, Dr. Oppenlander, as a scientist, as a medical doctor whose specialty is dentistry. Now, how many of you know that all dentists are medical doctors first? They learn the same thing that all medical doctors do, and they focus in on the mouth. God knows why, but that's what they like to do. But he broadened beyond the mouth, and he started to look, and he started to say, gee, we're not going to survive individually or as a culture, as a society, if we don't, in fact, look at what's causing death. And he's going to give you simple remedies that are so simple and so profoundly clear that you're going to get it instantaneously. That there is ways that we could eradicate, in my estimation, in 36 months, 3 years, 75% of all catastrophic disease by eliminating the subsidies worldwide on meat and dairy food. Give Dr. Oppenlander, is he in the room with us? Let's give him a hand. Let's see who's up here next. Steve Meyerowitz. He's been doing this a long time. I remember he used to come up to Boston, Steve. What I love about Steve, he's very bright, but he has a sense of humor. If you don't have a sense of humor when we tell you to take wheatgrass implants, you're not going to do it. And as Steve so well says, back when we started organic food eating, you couldn't find organic food. You were lucky you found cabbage in New York City, a carrot, maybe an apple, and by February, forget it, you found nothing. And then he found this wild woman in Boston saying, dear one, grow from seed sprouts. And he got so excited about that he called his new name, the Sprout Man. Can you get over that? And he's been spreading sprouts, and with his humor but scientific clarity, has been teaching people the importance of this powerful food that literally is 10 to 30 times more nutritious than the most nutritious organic vegetable you grow in the best soil. Now, if Stephen's not here, let's give him a hand. Look at these people. We'll go to Dr. Greger. Dr. Greger, I'm so impressed because colleagues of mine and friends of mine in England started a few years ago to say, do you know this guy is just like a walking encyclopedia on science. I said, you got to be kidding. And I kept saying, give me some of the stuff. And one day the computer started to roll, and that much paperwork later that I've gotten almost all read at this point, in between trips. Phenomenal. And what I love about Dr. Greger, like Dr. Deal, when he stood up and said, wait a minute, I'm not practicing what I took an oath for. I am harming. And so literally said, what will not harm? And he found out that the core of that dietarily is what? Plant-based diets. Now, this whole renaissance of primal diets today is once again rehashing the Atkins approach to economics. Tell people what they want to hear, make a lot of money. We're not going to tell you what you want to hear. We're going to tell you what you need to hear. And let's give Dr. Greger a hand. Every time I turn around, Sherry's there. What's going on? And there's Steve there. Okay, we keep going now. Look at this. Timing is great. There you are. Look at that's a much younger picture of you, I know. I always use pictures from when I'm 22. Keon. I'm presently penning a book on eggs and dairy food, and this by far is the most authentic book on the market today to expose the absolute insanity of consumption of dairy food. As my colleague, Dr. Campbell, so well said, if you want to get cancer, meat will do it, but a better job, drink milk. And I know one thing, when I was a big fat guy, when I gave up meat, I lost weight. When I gave up dairy, it was like a balloon that was popped with a pin. Bingo, down it went, because that is not a food for humanity. Davis is going to expose to you the hidden phenomena that are killing each and every one of us today. And those hidden phenomena are the scary ones, because you chew food and you swallow it. You can identify it. It has color, texture, weight. It costs something. But these things don't cost anything but human health. And when you start to know about the electromagnetic currents and the frequencies and the chemicals and the heavy metals and the pharmaceutical drugs that pervade invisibly our planet, no wonder I'm dealing now with, this year, America joining Canada in the number one disease killer being cancer. So America, we are now number 2 in cancer in the world. Give yourself a hand. And you wait out there listening, because worldwide we're going to spread this disease because it's invisible. So all of these people, who did I miss? Did I miss anyone over there? Who? Well, I'm going to speak about my wife last. All right, let's see who I missed. So we don't want to miss anyone. Look at that picture. I'm telling you, that's your high school picture? Deborah Davis, we spoke about. Grossman. Now, we talk about the molecules. These molecules, by the way, are what we just discussed. And if you start to understand everything is made of molecules, and below that atoms and protons and neutrons, these are really invisible. How many of you know an atom, which is a little smaller than a molecule, is 99.99% nothing? And how many of you know, we're not going to get into this weekend here, but this is what I'm working on right now. I just yesterday finished my latest PowerPoint on epigenetics. And I show you that the invisible nothing is everything with that. But that's a whole other story. And so we're going to talk about that. Then lastly, I'll speak about my wife that I was blessed to meet in Stockholm, Sweden, when I was there with Ann Wigmore in 1978. And she was directing a very famous center outside of Stockholm where people globally, even Americans, would come and take care of all kinds of diseases other than cancers. And I instantly fell in love with her. And that's not a joke. It's not an exaggeration or an embellishment. I saw her and fell in love, and every single day I love her more. And she's not only my wife and my best friend and my coworker, she's the heart of Hippocrates. Without her, Hippocrates would not be what it is. And she's in there today counseling people and will be on a plane and be joining us this weekend. So God bless, be well, and we're going to now go to our first speaker. Congratulations for coming here.